Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 164 of PD's Awesome Guest Panel. Now, before I introduce tonight's guest stars, even tonight's co-host for this evening, I just want to give a special thank you, though. I want to give a special thank you to my big sis, Elissa, for making this interview happen. Thank you so much, sis. And unfortunately, she wasn't able to come on with us tonight, but I just want to let my big sis know that thank you again for making this happen, sis. I love you. Now, introducing tonight's co-host for this evening. First of all, I'm a gentleman, so I'm going to start with ladies first. From the land from down under, Miss Jessie Devine. You know where I'm going to go with this, right? Yes. What am I going to say? Let me see.
that you love my optimism.
Bingo. And keep that wonderful optimism.
Yes.
Also joining us tonight, he's a wonderful friend of mine and a buddy of mine. He is a true master of the props. He is Dan the Prop Man Romano.
Hey, Pete, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Always love having you, Dan. Now, introducing tonight's guest star for this evening, he is a gentleman that I have known for nearly 20 years. He is a former child star. He is a veteran actor. You may know this gentleman's work. He's broadened the horizons and ran the gamut with so many projects, some as Married with Children, The Journey of Alan Strange, Figure It Out, and even Star Trek Enterprises. He is a kind human being that I have long time been friends of. My guest is this time is Seven Bundy himself, Mr. Shane Sweet. Shane, welcome. How are you? First time. I am so excited to have you on, man.
How's it going, man? Good to see you, and good to be on the pod. You're keeping busy, from what I can tell, man. That's good stuff.
Absolutely, and you know what? We've known each other like since 2006, and you know we never met in person. We never even seen each other in person. We've only had conversations through the MySpace days. But I mean, if kids remember the MySpace, I mean that was the precursor to Facebook and Twitter, etc.
Yeah, I think the only thing that predates MySpace is like LiveJournal and then the internet. Like that's just the internet as a basic setting. So yeah, no, way back for sure.
Absolutely. And one of the questions I got to ask you, though, and I've always wanted this too, and this could be a typical cliche question I ask every single guest star, and you're absolutely no exception to the rule, Shane. And that is, how and when did you get your big break or start into acting? Please take us there.
Well, I think I've been in the union since I want to say 92 or 91. So since I was like 5-6 years old. I would say probably the first thing I ever did was and I say jokingly, but it set me on a path of like interests and things, was a random Fievel Goes West commercial at Universal Studios ride that they have. You remember Fievel Goes West? That might
I love Fievel Goes West.
You a little bit. Okay, nice. You never know where Fievel lands. But and it was a crazy experience because like they had a bunch of us up there on this ride. The ride wasn't finished yet. So just to give you an idea how by the book things used to not be as compared to now, where everything, there are rules and regulations for everything. They were basically like sending kids down this slide that was like part of the allure to it. It was like almost like 2 stories high or something. It was a big, gigantic thing. And you go like flying down around it, and it wasn't finished yet. So at the bottom, they just told everybody kind of tumble. Like that's how you do it. You just kind of, and like adults are waiting to like catch you, but it's just like the cement slick at the bottom. Like it was incomplete. And luckily the spot that I was in, I was like the lead kid in the commercial or whatever. So they had us in like full cowboy gear, which makes no sense for going on a slide. They were always told not to ask questions. And before that, Fievel had been like my favorite movie or, favorite anything that had been out yet as a, viewer, if you will. And so having had gotten that, I realized that like the stuff, if I really wanted something, I would just focus on it and sort of picture myself in that space or in that, show or whatever. And for whatever reason, I didn't get any of the jokes at the time, but for some reason, I think just the rhythm of it, I liked. Is the thing that I loved the most beyond Fievel was Married with Children. And so, and whenever you'd go on auditions, which you had to go on all the time in person back in the day, like now everybody just, records at home or in a studio and they send them in. But back in the day, you were driving around town, and I lived way, way outside of LA at that time. I lived a couple hours away. But we'd always get off on either Vine or Gower, off the 101 or 170. No, it's a 101. They split. My bad. Anyway, you'll see soon when you're here visiting the freeway chaos. But you get off, and it's like I would always pass like their stage, and they'd always have on the stages at Sunset Gower, which shows we're shooting on which one, and the audiences would line up outside, and that's how it kind of worked. And I just knew like I want to get on that show. I want to get on that show. And then luckily, got lucky and things kind of fell in line where they needed a little kid, which was the strangest thing ever for that show to need a little kid. And from there, it's had sort of the same thing with, I was obsessed with Alex Mack, like growing up. I loved Alex Mack.
Great show.
I love that show.
Dude, loved it. And our show was the follow-up to Alex Mack. Like same production company, the same writers, the same everybody. Like literally as they were
Really?
cleaning
I
out
didn't know
Alex
that.
Mack sets, our pilot sets were coming in. So like it was as close as I could get to that point of sort of fulfilling that. So it's just sort of that picturing, a goal or whatever it is. And Five will kind of set me off on that route. So I would give the credit to Five Goes West for sure.
Very cool. And I gotta actually, because you just mentioned Alex Mack though, because at the time, like, would you say that like that you being a fan of Alex Mack was the way that led you into the journey of Alan Strange?
Yeah, well, I wanted to be on Alex Mack. I was like, I sort of that same feeling that I had for the other sort of things, because I did random stuff as a kid in between, the sort of the bigger things, but like you never know, like that's just stuff you go out for, and maybe you get lucky, or commercials or stuff like that. It's stuff that you're not really like focused on. Whereas Alex Mack was like a show that I loved, so I was like focused on it, thinking like if there is a shot, I would pounce on it. And when I went out for Alan Strange, I didn't know that they were tied to Alex Mack at all. I just knew that when I got in the room, especially with the show creator Tommy Lynch, who's brilliant, and one of the coolest dudes you'll ever meet, the vibe, it felt like something that felt familiar, if that makes any sense.
It does.
And then when I learned that it was the same people who did Alex Mack, I was like, oh, I clicked. I was like, it feels familiar because this is that show. This is that same pacing, rhythm, the idea of having a moral in every character arc and every show arc, and overarching, the sort of little arcs that push the show along episode by episode, and then the longer ones. I was familiar with the structure and everything without even like realizing it, so yeah, definitely Alex Max, I think, set me on that path of sort of, even if I didn't realize I was doing it, you're kind of studying that whole show setup, you know what I mean? That sort of formula, if you will.
Of course, and at the time, Shane, Nickelodeon was experimenting, like at the time, like in the 90s. I mean, we were talking about where child star things was the craze. I mean, look at all the shows that Nickelodeon did that were all child-based shows. I mean, you just mentioned Alex Mack, and then you, of course, the Journey of Alan Trains, and the other one too that nobody talks about, Hey Dude and the Mystery Files of Shelby Woo.
Oh,
Hey
throwback!
Dude was so good too.
It was.
Dude, that's a good one. I forgot about the Shelby Woo show. That's a good call. Oh,
So,
dude, Hey Dude, and Pete and Pete too was another one.
Pete, I love Pete and Pete.
yeah, I actually had Shane. I actually had on the show. Do you remember? Did you ever work with Danny Cooksay? Cooksay, the guy that played what was the name of the character he played on Different Strokes? He was, what was it, Dan?
Ooh, I don't remember.
He was Montana Max, and he was Montana Max on Tiny Toons.
Oh, I don't think I've worked with him or knew him or anything like that. But I'm also awful with names. Like if you put a picture in front of me, I'll be like, oh, dude, I've known that guy.
He was a ginger, if that's helpful.
Oh, Pete and Pete, there's a lot of them there.
I know.
Nick had a healthy scoop of the gingers back in the day for sure.
Well, I'm gonna Jess has a question. Is gonna ask her first question, but before we do, Shane, I just gotta ask you with this philosophical question. And I always want to ask you this question. Do you believe in the philosophy that love and marriage go together like a horse and carriage, and it's an institute that you can't disparage?
That's I feel like that's one of those songs you don't think about the lyrics until you hear them. It's the old Arrested Development joke where you're up there singing like Afternoon Delight, and then you realize you're singing it with your niece, and you're like, what is going on here? You throw the mic away. I think it depends on who's the horse and who's the carriage. You know what I mean? Like, and if it's give and go, maybe. But I think that's a Sinatra song, right? I don't think it'd be wise for me to question Frank Sinatra at this point. So if he says it, it's fact,
Oh, it was all in good fun though, because when we had Danny Kuske on here though, I jokingly said to him, Danny, do you believe in the old saying that the world don't move to the beat of just one drum? It may be right for you, but it may not be right for some.
Nice.
So I was just throwing that reference out.
Oh yeah, no, I try not to be too analytical on anything there, but yeah,
So good.
Yeah.
Mr. Vine, your first question.
Any memories of your audition of Married with Children? and your reaction to getting the role of Seven Bundy.
Well, it was a lot. It was a lot. I think I went in maybe almost like 10 times, like to do it. Like we had the first call, which I haven't remembered nothing about. But the only ones I really remember when you start to go to the network, and I think I tested with the network like 3 or 4 times, which are, or like, those are like the big auditions. Those are the ones where you're supposed to be, they're under pressure. They send you into like, you're no longer in some like dirty casting office or whatever. Like you're in like, you're at the Fox Studios, which is the old studios, which at that time I'm pretty sure they were over on Fox Pico now. So it's kind of near like the Columbia, TriStar building that you see. Like it's all old Hollywood stuff out there. Actually, Columbia's Sony, but it's all those buildings are all the first generation Hollywood sort of, like they're intimidating just to like look at. And I remember just kind of going in and just, I mean, at that age, you're just trying to not mess up and like be obnoxious. And I've always had like a sort of pretty good cognizance of like, hit your mark, say your lines, and shut up. Like that's it. That's all anybody wants from you. Even then, I was like, if you can be as technically sound, is that's enough to probably get you through most tests and that kind of in those scenarios. And even then, I watched some of the episodes. I've seen some of the episodes, as an adult, and I'm like, there's so many little technical things that I'm so far off. Like you'll see the whole cast, there are little rules, right? Like if somebody walks behind you, you turn and face the audience as you track them, which is totally unnatural. You never do that. If somebody's talking to you, you would turn and talk to them and keep eye contact. But it's a stage sort of, especially in 3 camera setups, live studio audience stuff. It's a callback to when you're in the theater and on the stage, to where you always, you keep your sort of angle towards the audience a little bit. And I, as a little kid, had none of that. None of that knowledge was not imparted on me yet. And I can remember like being a kid and having like Christina Applegate, like as I'm going the wrong way, everybody else is going and feeling her like twist me to like guide me the way I'm supposed to be going and stuff like that. But beyond stuff like that, it's realistically, as a kid, all I just remember was like to not just try to not be obnoxious, I mean, it sounds crazy, but try to not be a little kid while the adults are doing the adult things, and everything will kind of work out. And at that age, that was enough. I trusted that the writers know what they're doing. If I can add something to it that's like that I think is funny or something, that'll be cool. But beyond that, yeah, I mean, I sort of just trust what's on the page and make sure you don't mess it up too bad, and get out of its way a little bit. And because even then I'm like, nobody's really there to see me at that point, or at any point really. I mean, I think I ended up on the back of a milk jug missing, so, which is a very great gag.
Yeah, I wanted to get your reaction to that. Like when you first saw that, what was your response to that? Like a
Dude,
reaction?
that is a great gag. Like that is the best way to do it. That is honestly, because you don't want to do an episode that everybody's just like, why do we waste an episode? Like why do we waste, I think the orders back then were between 13, 15, and 18 episodes for a season. Now they're like 6, 8, or 10 or something like that. But like, why waste an episode getting rid of essentially what you felt was like a failed plot point? You know what I mean? So that's just a great way to do it. It gets you a laugh out the door, which is the whole name of the game in those kind of shows. So yeah, no problem with that. It's hilarious. It's the best way to do it. 100%.
What was your final episode? Was it the pirate episode, like that you did as 7?
Oh, dude, I don't even know. That checks out. I mean, that seems right along with the timeline and everything. Actually, no. After that, there was a Rock of Ages episode, which I'm pretty sure was the last one, which had like Robbie Krieger from The Doors.
I love that episode.
Okay, yeah. All right,
he's like, we are the old. We have arthritis.
Exactly. Well played. Yeah. So that I'm pretty sure that was the last one, because that was kind of the, once you get towards the end of the season, you start burning budgets on bigger stuff. Like the pirate episode was awesome. They had a whole half of a boat that they brought in and built, and like, they basically were like, we have excess funds, like burn through them. So that's how you get those episodes with a lot of guest stars, or you get tons of props or whatever. But yeah.
How did you, by the way, because I wanted to ask your opinion on this too, and we are actually going to show a small clip of this later on though, but your themed episode, which was Every Bunday Has a Birthday, your memories of filming that episode, because that was the one where they took you to some kid's birthday party, and Al wanted to have Seven have a birthday, and that's when you punched that kid in the face at the end?
Yeah.
We're gonna show a clip of that like later on though. Like after Dan asks his question, we're gonna show that clip.
I can't remember how it ended up, if it was a face punch, because I know for a fact it was originally a stomach punch. And this kid's dad on the set the whole time was like, he's a stunt kid. You could punch him as hard as you can. Like, well, I'm like, I'm not going to punch this kid. And I think Jerry Cohen might have been the director. Either way, he was always kind of around set. But eventually they're like, well, just punch him. If he says he can take a punch, like, go for it. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right. Punches, like you punch this, and it's, I'm a 7-year-old or 6-year-old, 7-year-old. It's like, how hard can it be? And I think he might have been a little older, but not, and he's a kid. And like, I remember hitting him and then being like, something like just feels like clicking. And it turns out the dude was wearing this like he must have been like a rodeo champion or something, the size of the belt buckle that this kid had on underneath, right where you're supposed to punch. And I'm like, whoa, like pulls out, he's like, oh well, yeah, you wear those just to like be safe. And everybody was just like, whoa. So I like remember like hand was like swollen, and it's set, so everybody kind of freaks out and they have to go through their own kind of thing. But I think they may have changed it to like a fake, like the old one of those whole kind of things. Or we might have shot it both ways too, because we did on Fridays, you do the episode once, you'd have a dinner break, and then you do the episode again. We may have shot it both ways, but yeah, that's my one sort of key memory from that episode. It's being like, oh yeah, so check for belt buckle next time. Awesome, good to know. Sweet.
And you can confirm too that every time when you're on that stage, there was an audience right looking at watching you, right, while you were filming that entire episode.
As far as that episode,
or no?
I'm pretty sure there were only a couple instances where we ever had to go back after the second showing. That basically like after hours pickups, and it was because it was technical, like there was a technical issue, I think, on one of the scenes that I did with Katie Seagal.
Layla.
They've always, I'm sorry?
Katie Seagal was also Layla from Futurama. That's what I think about when I watch the show.
So Shane, you actually worked with Leela from Futurama and Ren and Stimpy. Not Ren and Stimpy. You worked with. No, never mind. Because I thought Billy was on the show. I apologize. Well, Dan Castellaneta, who voiced Homer Simpson, was actually on Married with Children one time.
Oh no way!
Yeah, he played a funeral director.
Huh? That checks out.
It's funny. He was offering Al Bundy the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle coffin, which had like a pizza on it, and he's like, "This is the one that Michael Jackson reserved."
Oh my God.
And this was 1990, I think, 1 or 2 when that aired.
Okay, yeah, I think I was in 92, maybe 93, something like that, or 92 leading into 93, because I think I had a birthday while I was on the show.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that was basically it. Yeah. Cut me off. I can ramble for days about stuff, so please cut me off if I get long-winded fast. So yeah,
I feel terrible when I do that.
No, please.
Dan, your first question.
First, I just love that you have a sense of humor about it, like just how they wrote you off. But now you got me curious too. How many episodes did you guys shoot in block? Because if it was up to 15, what'd you do, like 3 to 5 or?
No, I think I did the full season. I think they had 15 that season. I did like 13 or something like that. You may know better than I do, man. At this point, it's it's been a while, but
yeah,
I think I did like 12 or 13 or something like that season. And then
that's
next
so
season,
cool.
They may actually credit me for the one that they put my face on the milk jug, but I won't hold them to that. I didn't have to show up or do much. I think they actually used my like headshot photo, so they were like, just take it, scan it, stick it on a thing.
I do have one question too. Do you miss like because they don't do that nowadays anymore, where it's in front of a live studio audience, and now it's just sitcom after they add the laughs in. Do you miss the live stage theater audience, like people actually being there? Because I miss that too nowadays with shows where you're performing in front of a live studio audience.
Yeah, well, I mean, nobody, unless you're in New York, nobody goes to the theater anywhere really else, unless you're on Broadway and you're one of these big shows that costs, an arm and a leg. But, and so this was, I feel like the 3-camera setup is as close as like you get to the original sort of craft of like being in front of us, being in a theater, doing a play. It's as close, and granted, they were all generally comedies. So, but I miss the formula. I think there's there's slowly developing an audience for it again. I think it became sort of like, played out for a little while. I think people got tired of it. But I think in the ever growing sort of nostalgic community, I think there's definitely an appetite coming back for it, and I think it's great. I grew up with 3-camera setup, so
Yeah.
I dug it, the live audience.
Well, I got actually too, Shane. And this is gonna be a silly question that's gonna lead to an even sillier question. So
Right.
I remember asking you this question years ago, and I want to see if your answer is still the same though.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
In that one episode, I think it was your second episode, when Katie Seagal put you put you next to the sink though, and she poured something that came out of the sink, and she called it asbestos, and she called it Bundy tea. What exactly was that was coming out of the sink, and you were saying it's the water, it's the water?
Yeah, I mean, I remember thinking it was weird, but I'm pretty sure it was tea with, like, you take the tea
Uh,
leaves and they're like crushed, like, so it looks like muck. It was like that, which I didn't trust as a kid, but I also thought that the stairs led up to another part of the house, and little did I know that they just cut off up there and it's like there.
It was a
So,
facade, right?
oh yeah, of course. It's like literally you go up there and you hit the turn the corner and you're got another like 2.5 feet, and you're supposed to just sit there and be still and be quiet. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what the stuff was. It was like tea, and it had like the crushed like tea to make it look cloudy and gross or whatever. And it was cold. I'll give them that. I remember thinking that was cold. Like, same thing with like on Figure It Out, when they dumped all the stuff on you. It was always freezing every single
yeah,
time.
I've heard of the slime. Yeah, I remember that. I remember his stories about it.
We got clips of that too.
Oh, dude. Oh no. Dude. I don't know.
didn't even. Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, I don't think I'll get sued for this. Do you guys? Has anybody told you what the slime is? You guys know?
Sadly,
I don't want to get sued.
All right. Well, I'll tell you off.
Yeah,
the,
you can tell me on that.
I'll tell you off the recording then.
No,
It's safely edible. It's safely edible.
Okay.
Oh, good to hear. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to get sued anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, Nickelodeon, they could do with the free press at this point, But,
Yeah.
It's true.
yeah.
Shane, the reason I brought that up though is because, and I access to all of my guest stars though, and that is whenever I'm not like on a strict fasting like diet, like there's times where I wouldn't eat until like dinner time, like I would go to work and just not eat until like go home. But when I'm not, I'm a total foodie, and I know Married with Children was a big production company with a probably with a catering set. So I was curious to know what the catering scene was like on Married with Children, and your favorite particular meal in catering.
I mean, I'm sure it was great. I'm like I've never been too food driven. I'm allergic to everything, so like that sort of like really pares down your list of things you can eat. Like, I'm allergic to Benadryl, which is supposed to help you in case of an allergic reaction. Like, I can't even have like an EpiPen shot because the EpiPen stuff they house in this protein that I'm allergic to that thing. So like, dude, I'm pretty sure I was probably just living off little kid food, which was like chicken tenders and stuff, which is, that works. My palate hasn't expanded that much since then. So yeah, I mean, again, it was a network show, so I'm sure they had everything there was top, as top of the pops as you could get, but yeah, and again, I was
I'm sorry. Again, I apologize. I had no idea.
Oh, dude,
Me too.
If I haven't been able to figure it out by now, I've got bigger problems looking in the mirror. So,
and I always want to get your take on this, Shane, too. It's like, for looking back on your years of Married with Children, though, were there any teachings or lessons that you took with you that helped you on, whether it was in your life or in your career or even both?
Honestly, like, that show was such a cog in the wheel. Like, I was such a cog in the wheel in that show, because they were an oiled machine. Like, by the time I got in there, they'd been together for 7 or 8 years. They all knew each other. They had that whole routine down. And so really the best thing that I, could think to do for that show specifically, and that I sort of took with me, was like, learn how to, like, it's a big deal for you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to think of how best to explain this. Like, for me, it was a big deal. So, but it's not a big deal to them. Like, their show, this is just another idle Monday or Tuesday to them. So it's not a big deal to them that I'm showing up. It's a big deal to me that I get to be there. And so I learned pretty quick to just like, make as small a sort of shadow as possible. And as a result, luckily it wasn't like I didn't get, the show, I didn't get kicked off the show or whatever because I was, a nightmare to be around or an annoying little kid or whatever. It was just because it didn't work. The gags didn't work for the show and for the premise or whatever. but everyone on the show, dude, I mean, they're the coolest. Like Christina Applegate is one of the nicest human beings you will ever meet. Ed O'Neill, you cannot be around that guy without laughing. Like you just can't. Like he can just look at you. You can just watch him and laugh. Like just watching the dude process things, just he cracks you up. And we had a lot of cool like guest stars coming through. Like the Rock of Ages thing was really cool because I was already playing guitar and doing stuff like that. And so to be able to like I sat down with a couple of the guys who'd come through there and got to like play guitar with them as a little kid. And I have a guitar somewhere that's like they all signed the one, whatever the little like mail order guitar thing I was playing.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So that was rad. And like, yeah, I'm more or less sort of general things like that and kind of cool memories. It was cool meeting and Corey Feldman, who's a very serious dude at that time. And I mean, I had no clue the stuff that he'd been through. I even think publicly most people didn't really know what he'd been through to that point. And he like sat down with me, and like my mom gave a lot of like what at the time were like seemed like very heavy, like heavy advice. But looking back, you're like, oh yeah, that dude knew exactly what he was talking about. So I'm super grateful for stuff like that. Sort of people who've been through, way crazier, gauntlets and stuff like that, and were willing to get out in front of things and sort of impart that those vibes for sure.
We're gonna try one more clip. If it doesn't work, we're gonna move on with the questions though, and that is the other clip that I had planned though. Hopefully this one goes because this one I actually downloaded. The other one was on a website, so this one might actually go through. Hopefully, but let's see. This is the second tribute I had planned
Yeah.
for Shane. So let me know if everybody can see it. What does everybody see? That's what I want to know. Can what is that?
It's black now.
Screen, yeah.
Okay. Can people see or hear a picture?
Over here on the clip
Yeah.
board.
Perfect.
Not a turtle.
Here we go.
Wake up, Kareem. Okay, and it's not a pie, Shane.
It's a cake, actually.
Get your desserts
Maybe.
straight. All right, hacksaw, last round. 1 minute on the clock. Ready, go.
You hypnotize this creature?
Yeah.
Okay. The secret slime action, you guys, the secret slime action was knowing what a suplex is. Knowing what a suplex is. So, you guys know, Mark, Kareem, Shane, you know what a suplex is?
You betcha.
No.
Shane does. Shane knows.
I
No, I'm
don't.
just kidding.
You know?
Happy to do that.
All right, remember, because Hacksaw got slime, that means David from our studio.
Your thoughts on that episode and don't figure it out.
It was the goal was always to get slimed, always. Like that was the only actual goal we had on that show. But I'll give them like a credit to the production. Like they were super legit about nobody gets any hints. Like as the contestant was coming through, because we did I think we did an entire season, if not more, for that show. They did the whole thing in like 2 weeks. Like we would do, when I was up there, we would do, I think we were doing like 4 or 5 of those a day, and they would just like rotate the audience in. So you do one, you take whatever it is, an hour off, and then you do another one, like back and forth. And they were always during the summer. And I mean, they were way fun. But like if the contestant was coming through any of the props or any of the clues, like they'd put everybody in their rooms, guard them so nobody could like poke their head out. They were very diligent about keeping it like a fair, legit, like contest. But yeah, the goal is always to get slimed. If you don't get slimed, you're just sitting up there like, like how can I finagle my way into getting slimed just because it's fun,
Is it sticky, the slime, or no?
It's
Or is it just color?
It's viscous, like it's very like it's slimy. It's such a terrible choice of words, but it's cold and it's definitely like slick. Like you don't want to pop up if in like move anywhere quickly, because the stage and even the platform that you're sitting on up there is enough to where you'll yard sail it if you're not careful. You'll lose your hat and your gloves and everything that you've got if you go trying to run around after getting slimed a little bit, because it's slip and slide.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Was Summer Sanders
the
cool?
hard way. Oh yeah. I mean, honestly, everybody with that gig was like that was like vacation. Like it was so much fun, and it was sure it was more fun for us than for other people. Like Summer is actually up there having to work. Like she's hosting the thing, whereas we're just up there being goofballs. But yeah, like everybody's super super cool, and it was fun. You're doing it at Universal Studios, back when Nickelodeon had the spot. I don't know if they're still
No, they
still got a
closed,
spot out there.
unfortunately. Actually, they put a time capsule in, Shane, and that time capsule is actually in Burbank. They moved it from Florida to California, and that's going to be opened April 2nd, 2042.
Wild. Okay. And so it must be at the animation studio then in Burbank, I imagine.
Yeah. They moved everything when they closed Universal, that the studio down, like Nickelodeon Studios, they moved it straight to the California location.
Crazy. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, they're not. I was gonna say they don't do shows like that out in Burbank. That's for sure. I've been there a few times. It's much smaller. I think they just do animation out there. And then maybe because they've got a corporate office in Santa Monica too that I've been to a ton off on Colorado Boulevard. So yeah.
As a kid though, were you a Cartoon Network person or a Nickelodeon person?
Oh, dude, no, I'm a company man. Like I towed that company line, man. I felt bad going to Disneyland.
Oh.
Like years later, I co-hosted a Disneyland like 45th anniversary special, and there was that little trader just in my own ear. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, Cartoon Network did not exist for us, at least for me. We were Nickelodeon kids,
and
cut and dry.
I didn't know this either, too. I did research earlier, and I did not know this about this. And Jess and Dan are going to be very surprised by this, too. But you were actually in the original 95 Toy Story.
Yeah, I did just some VO work on that, which I guess everybody was doing VO on that. But funny story with that, I can remember, and I remember even telling this to my mom, being like, yeah, this computer, it's not going to work. Like, this stuff's never going to catch on. The style of animation, like, it just looks weird. This is never, like, it sucks that they ruined such a good movie with all this weird computer animation. So never trust my ability to look into the future on things like that, because that was a terrible call. I don't think there's been a real animated movie since Toy Story came out. So
yeah, 30 years ago.
Yeah,
I can't believe that.
It's wild.
Jess, Mr. Vine, your next question.
All right. Did you have any favorite episodes or storylines featuring your character, and why?
On Married with Children, or on
a 7.
Oh, a 7. As far as storylines go, I mean, I don't. There were a couple gags that I remember sort of the gags and stuff more than like anything sort of overarching. Like I thought the gag would they drop the curtain or whatever it is, the sheet over your head and knock you out like a bird. I got a kick out of that. I thought that was funny. Even at the time, I was like, I get this. Like my dad raised falcons and stuff, and that's a totally legit thing. If you put a curtain over a thing, a bird will be out like that and calm them down. That's why they get in little hoods and stuff too. And then I just remember the cool episodes. I'm pretty sure the one with the pirate ship and everything timed out to where that was on Halloween. So after we did the episode, they brought out like candy and stuff, and had everybody come out in their, if they like, my parents dressed me up in this like ridiculous Red Lobster suit. So I remember like that being Halloween that year, was getting to be in this pirate ship with everybody in these crazy costumes and sort of doing our on-set trick-or-treating or whatever it was. So like that was super cool. But yeah, as far as that goes, like more or less the little kind of gags or the weird or the cool kind of episodes as a whole, as opposed to any particular storylines or plot lines or anything like that. Sorry, I hope that's an okay answer. I don't know. But yeah,
I love the answer.
Yeah.
Shane, I have to ask you too, like, for the other question I had for you is related to Married with Children, though. Like, were there any like hard like episode, like any particular scene or like episode that was very difficult for you to film, whether it was a one-time occurrence or was like it was like a daily thing?
Not for me. I mean, I feel bad for Ed O'Neill because I had to jump up and knee him in the groin as hard as I could, apparently, like 10, 20 takes of that. And I'm pretty sure that the director and the producers at the time, Ron Levitt and Michael Moy, they might have been eking out a little revenge on him. Oh no, go again. Let's see it. Let's do it one more time. Or like, just didn't seem believable. Like it was one of those things where even I was there, like, I'm sorry, like I don't know, like am I doing something wrong? And I'm pretty sure he must have been wearing a cup or something, because like they were like, just get up and launch yourself, like knees first. So if there anything like that, I would say that that probably fills that quota. It was easy for me, but tough. I'm sure tough on him. So
I really love the bond that you and Ed had though on the show. Like I thought when you screamed "Daddy" to him in the first episode, when your dad was Bobcat Goldthwait, right, in the
yeah,
show.
yeah. Which dude, that guy,
Hilarious.
another one of those
Classic.
hilarious people.
He's a cool guy.
I know,
And
right?
and
Yeah.
he's that guy as far as just the energy and all that kind of stuff. Like the dude, he brought it. You know what I mean? Like he was awesome.
And he directs now too. It's wild. Like what was he did a movie with Robin Williams I saw a while back. What was it? I forget. Anyway, he's a cool guy.
I didn't know he was directing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know. And I think Linda Blair, she was very, very sweet too. And she played my
Regan
mom.
McNeil.
Is that
Hmm?
sorry?
Linda Blair played Regan McNeil in the Exorcist movies.
Oh yeah, of course,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah.
And she
Sorry,
was in
so-
Roller Boogie. If anyone's ever seen that.
I do not know what that is.
Obscure. It's late 70s. No, wait. Yeah, it was I think either 1979 or it's just right as disco was dying. That's when she was in it. So it's pretty funny. Like
Catching
it's
the
a
tail
very
end.
opposite that.
That's awesome.
Well, I'm
Good,
gonna-
good, solid references, by the way. Just like
I think I don't know.
it's a good like Rolodex of you know of characters and being able to pull that stuff. I'm terrible with stuff like that. So again, that's a legit tip of the cap. I'm not a jukebox at all. So
You're cool. You're fine.
Dan, before you ask your next question, though, I just want to say, Shane, to this day, like I finally can tell you this too. Like when you gave Ed O'Neill the hug and you screamed "Daddy" to him, I thought that was one of the most heartfelt, most warming scenes in television history. So I just want to give you props for that one.
You're too kind,
When I saw that, it warmed my heart.
You're too kind, dude. Good looking out.
Anytime. Dan, your next question.
I got two. One's silly and one's serious. The first is what are your thoughts on shooting a show in LA that takes place in Chicago? Because Married with Children takes place in Chicago.
Dude, I mean, there's so much of that stuff. Like it's hilarious if you I mean, it's being out here, it's sort of normalized. It's like, you know, you shoot there are little pockets of the city that are known to be for other places. Like it's like, you know, if you
Yeah.
want to shoot, like if you shoot for like you can shoot for Italy or like old-timey western town out in like Santa Clarita. So and the fact that we were I don't think we were ever in public anywhere. It's easy to fake, you know, but and also nobody had any of the Chicago, you know, accent going on in the show
Yeah.
too much. So, you know, luckily it didn't I would at best I think nobody seemed to notice too much. So you know, that yeah, it's a weird
As a
one.
Chicagoan, I don't care. I loved it, so it's all good with me.
Nice.
And then my second question, which is more serious, is there any more fun behind the scenes stories you can tell us from Married with Children or Star Trek or anything?
Let's see here. Sort of going through Rolodex of stuff. You know, let me see. Well, okay, I'll tell one. It's me being a like a goofball. I was on Journey Down Strange. So like every dude, and I'm sure you guys or gal, you know, hey, whatever. Just growing up, I mentioned Alex Mack, right? So
Yeah.
being a fan of Alex Mack, and she was still apparently like Larissa Olenek. She would come by the stage every once in a while, and to any dude who's 12 or 13, that then just becomes the most terrifying prospect that you've ever heard of in your life at that age. And at one point, she came in, and everybody knew, like again, like most dudes at that time, like thought had like a little crush on her or whatever, and people on the production knew that was the thing. So when she came in to like say hi in the classroom, I literally like looked up and like I don't know how that happened, but I literally like looked up and I can just remember like inhaling like and like what, and then just falling out of my chair like in the classroom. So I'm like in there with all the other kids, like we're all getting doing our thing, and I just eat it like, dude, it's so far like quickly just flying back, and I can just remember like being on my back there, just being like, this didn't go at all how I envisioned this like happen. Like just having that moment being like, you've thought about this moment, and this is the last of all the ways that you ever planned on this playing out. So yeah, that's one random one for sure. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other stuff. Anything on Married with Children. There are just random things like Ed O'Neill. I remember he might be a little off here, but I remember thinking like he came in with like a speeding ticket at least like once a week, and like the dude like he'd like dug fast cars, and apparently he would get out of most of them just by people being like, "Hey, like dude, love the show." But if, he'd run into like once a week, he'd run into that dude, and I just thought that like at the time I was like, that's insane, like that's crazy. One, how can you actually write Al Bundy a ticket, and two, like how do you keep on getting speeding tickets to keep your license? It was just something I thought was crazy. But yeah, hopefully that's weird enough for you. I don't know.
It's great.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it's funny to me.
And as for Larissa, it's completely understandable and fair because she was one of my crushes growing up, so it's completely fair. I completely understand it because I mean I probably had the same reaction.
Yeah, and nobody told me. I there's that immediate like feeling of betrayal. Like yeah, I thought you were my friends. How could you not tell me that she was like, you don't give me any warning? Like, oh my god, there's so much racing through the mind all at one moment. But yeah, so
I'm
yeah.
very Shane. I'm very honored to know the fact that that I've had because I know that you played Robin on Teen Titans, right?
I think for one season, one of the early seasons, yeah.
I'm very honored to know. The reason I brought that up though is because I'm very honored to know that I've had two Robins on in my show in the past. So I've had Burt Ward on my show, and now I have you. So
Oh no way.
I have two Robins. I'm just so honored, and just I've been following your work for years, man. Like,
Oh dude.
like, and this interview is just so awesome that we finally get to do this.
Yeah, it's good. It's good times. Again, good looking out,
And
and you're keeping busy with the pod, man. I did a little snooping around and looking into it and stuff, and like you were cranking them out. So kudos.
I just love interviewing. It's like the main purpose of why I started this podcast. So it's just that, first of all, like, as you can see, my co-host, like, I have the philosophy, like, if I'm having fun, I like to take my friends on for the ride with me. Hence why, like, I started the show. And, like, it's basically, I know it's going to sound cliche to sound, but it's a show made by fans for the fans to the fans. Like, if that's cliche as that sounds.
No, I mean that's awesome, and everybody knows what it's like to be a fan. Like everybody's a fan of stuff, like something, you know what I mean. So anybody who would even think to sort of claim that they aren't is a liar. You know what I mean? Like everybody's a fan. Yeah, you're even like Da Vinci was a fan of 10 other people. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
anybody at any time and place in history can relate to that 100%.
Totally. And another reason why I did the show is like, so I can give the opportunity to give my thanks to the guest stars, like i.e. like thanking you for like those memories you've given us as Seven Bundy, and just it brings back a lot of memories, and that's why part of the reason I started the show was to just give my thanks.
Oh, dude, thank you. It's it ain't no thing.
We have a couple more questions before we wrap up though, and I was just curious to know, Shane, would you be interested like later on, like in the future, probably coming up for part two? That way we can have Lissa on the show.
Yeah, of course, anytime.
Because I really want my sister to be part, like just to like interview you. We had her on last night for a fictional MTV star boy band character. His name is Evan Farmer. He played a boy band character from MTV called Together, and in this band was it was fictional, so it was like to give you an idea of like how it is. It's like a modern day version of Spinal Tap for boy bands. So that's what
Okay.
it basically is.
Like a
It's not,
mockumentary kind of vibe.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Nice.
Uh,
Okay.
and I wanted to bring her on tonight because of how like you know my sister for years. I mean, I've known you for years, and like unfortunately, like she wasn't able to come on. That's why I was hoping.
Yeah, I got it. She'll for MTV guys, she'll show up, but for me, she'll get a call. That's fine. I'll nothing new there. Nothing new there.
Liz,
You know.
both Shane and I love you very much. But is it possible we can have like a part two in the future though?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Awesome. And we just have a couple more questions before we wrap up too. And one of the questions I have to ask you as an actor though, and I want to get your professional opinion on this too. And Dan and Jess know exactly where I'm going with this one. And this is for every actor. Like, I'm gonna put you in a scenario. If you were in a scenario where you and a co-star, like you and I, we're doing a scene together, and in this particular scene, it requires two co-stars to get into a heated altercation slash argument.
Okay.
Now, if I were to come up to you like before we do the shoot the scene, and I come up to you and say, "Hey Shane, I have a really good idea. Like, I want to get your opinion on this." So I was thinking like maybe like in order to sell this, not only to sell a story, but make it believable to the audience at home, to make it like wow, this is real life, but really it's not. I had an idea where you can actually like theoretically lambaste me so hard that you can make me cry in frustration, like real tears but fake reasoning by that. If you were approached by that type of method as an actor, what would you respond to that, co-star, and what would your initial reaction be to that method?
Um, that's an interesting sort of setup. I would wonder. Uh, it's weird. I mean, it throws a lot of technique out of the window off the hop. A lot of technique which sort of says, you start with what's on the page, and technically you don't divulge information to one another that you wouldn't otherwise have, right? Like if when you're doing character backstory and stuff like that, they're each one of those actors in a scene, they've done tons of stuff that the other actors never know, just ever, because and it may not even be congruent to each one of, like, if they were to compare all of their back story notes, the story might no longer make sense. And that my first instinct would be to be aware of that kind of stuff, because in sort of having this new information to sort of attack one another with, if I'm reading it correctly,
Mhm.
it sort of, it runs the risk of altering the nature of the relationship between the people in the actual scene, if that makes any sense. Because it depends. I mean, obviously, it depends on specifics, like why are the two characters fighting? Is it, like what sort of is the nature of the this sort of the thing? But also, just like, I don't know. It sounded like you were alluding to like some sort of, like, if you have like a
Well,
personal thing to be able to do.
oh, like I was thinking like method actor, like try to get like a method like actor where like you use real tears but fake reasoning behind those tears, like total method.
Huh. Well, I mean, acting, that's kind of acting in general, right? I
Oh,
mean, like, or I really, it's you're getting fake tears from generally real stuff. It's harder to make up something that emotionally will affect you than it is to remember something that emotionally affects you and lie to the screen about what you're crying about, because there's so much. And that's actually kind of that's actually that question, the way, thank you for sort of clarifying there, because it makes made way more sense to me. Is so much of acting is and stuff is the audience filling in the gaps on what they think they're being told. Like, the audience will never take the character out of context. They just won't. So you could cry about anything. And as long as you're crying in a scene that comes between a scene that somebody knows, like, your dog died as the guy in the Old Yeller. And then in the next scene, they see you tossing, whatever, dirt from a shovel. In their mind, the only thing you could possibly be crying about is the fact that your dog died. But in
yes.
reality, you're crying about anything, as long as you show up and cry, which that's the only thing, that's your only job. It doesn't, like, realistically, it doesn't matter at all what you're doing. And method people will feel that they need to be like Sean Penn did this in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I know Jim Carrey, when he did the Andy Kaufman thing, he did method. I know there are a couple guys who are always kind of go method. Some of the best performances ever too are people who've been crazy method for a short time, but they rarely stick to it. I know Bale does, like Christian Bale, do some of that stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I think Joaquin Phoenix also. I think would
yeah, and
I
and
love the
and
best
again,
Joker.
great performances, great performances. Ironically, the people who give them are never very happy with them, which is kind of a crazy thing. I don't know if you, especially with Joaquin Phoenix, a lot of the times, I've heard interviews and stuff with him, and to everyone else, it's like, dude, that was epic. Like, what do you? But you hear them talk about, it, and they'll be so critical because they know that they didn't feel the way they thought they should have felt if they were that person, which is a weird 10 steps to Tuesday kind of path there. But to everyone else, it's like, dude, that's an Academy Award winning performance. You're crazy. Like, what are you talking about? Um,
That was a thing
so,
of beauty. That whole scene that he did Joaquin in the Joker. That was like a thing of beauty. Like that act that I felt his anger.
oh, dude, I mean, that and him in Gladiator, like, he was,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
love to hate
totally.
him in Gladiator. He was Joffrey before Joffrey existed, and but you'll hear them give their comments on it, and you're like, dude, like cut yourself some slack, bro. Like, you crushed it. be happy. And that's the dangerous thing with I think method and stuff. But I think you kind of have to go through it all if you're going down that path of like wanting to like study acting. Like I think one of the coolest things is like Stanislavski. If you know Stanislavski, it's sort of an actor prepares. It's the foundation from which most method acting is built on. And it's like 4 really short books, but it's brilliant reading, and it gives you the sort of basis for all that stuff that became sort of as far out into the fringes of craziness with the art form as you can get. It starts with this really solid core sort of platform to work from that I can't recommend enough. Yes, Stanislavski stuff.
Okay, I see.
If you were to pull that out on an actor, they'd be like, "What?" They'd be like, "What?" just yeah. If you start quoting Stanislavski or something, they'd be like, "Dude, you got to be kidding me." Yeah, that's good. It's solid.
Totally solid. And Dan, before you ask one of your final questions, we're going to move on to the final question, then we're going to move on to the final comment. So, but Dan actually has a question that we usually ask the Power Ranger stars that we have on here, but because you're one of my dearest friends, Shane, and I've known you for a long time, I'm going to ask this question to you too. So, well, in the form of my co-star here, because I wanted to ask this, but I might get too giddy, so I'm going to let my calm, mild-mannered friend Dan here do the job. But go ahead, Dan, do it.
How's a legend? Sorry, how does it feel to be a legend, Shane?
Oh, dude, there's no such thing. But I appreciate that standing there. But yeah, no, there's nothing legendary. I promise. I've worked among some legends. I've been lucky enough to stand by them and like get a little blinded by their aura and stuff like that. But I'm just hanging out. But that's a hilarious question. That's got to be the funniest question in the whole pod. Kudos.
We love your work.
Dude, hilarious.
Dan, so your final question, and then we're gonna have Jess's final question, and then we're gonna move on to final comments.
I was gonna. Okay, some of it you already answered, but I got 2. The first one is because we brought this way up earlier about the MySpace days. So were you guys in each other's top 5 friends in the MySpace days, or? Okay, a silly question, not serious at all. Just curious.
Well, everybody always forgets the top 5 is really a top 4 because Tom forced himself into everybody's
Yeah, he always
top
put
5.
himself in there.
So it's really a top 4. And I don't know, man. I think eventually MySpace got around to like it was whoever you were messaging with the most, it would just put up there.
Yeah.
Which ended up like I know getting a lot of people in trouble and things like that. Which is a great self-reporting mechanism. That Facebook would never allow. But I have no clue. I have no idea. I acquiesce.
Okay, it was not a serious question.
Yeah,
but my final serious one would be do you have any advice for any aspiring actors or anyone or the audience in general?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I can't say enough just to keep always be learning something, always. And this is true for whatever you're doing. You never know what you're going to experience or who you're going to talk to or who is going to sort of expand your mind or your thinking in a way that like you can apply to the thing that you're actually chasing like later on. Like I think that it's especially out here, it's a really sort of it's like a logical fallacy or whatever you would call it that like I'm here to do this thing, so I'm only going to focus on this thing and these people that I think will be important to this thing. When in reality, like you never know what exposure, like having exposure to all different kinds of people. It's I think about somebody like the guy who plays Ron Swanson. If you guys watch
Kim Possible? Not Kim Possible.
On Parks and Rec. Parks and Rec.
Yeah, I've seen Parks and Rec. That's a great show.
Yeah. Nick,
I've heard of it.
Like Ron Swanson, like he like has like a woodworking studio, and like he developed this whole character around the stuff that he did at some point to like get away from acting and stuff like that, and ended up being his most like iconic character. So just the idea of being interested in don't forget to be develop your own interests and stuff, because those are the things that are going to make you interesting and sort of attract people to you. And relationships, people, all that stuff matters, bigly. Like, you don't, there are no like lone wolves who are successful really at anything except for maybe survival when the world ends, and we haven't gotten there yet, so we don't know how well they've done. So maintain relationships and friendships and stuff like that, because those are people who, when stuff doesn't go well, and stuff always doesn't go well, more often than not, things don't work out more often than they do. It's just that hopefully when they do, they work out well enough to make up, sort of make up in life for the times that they don't. So it's going to be your people, the relationships, and the things that you become interested in, and all the things, those experiences with those people, that matter more than, like, did I book this or did I do well on this audition? Because you find yourself really caring about people who don't really matter or like care about you in the long run. Like, the casting directors are not thinking about you when they go home to like hang out with their families and live their normal lives, so yeah, that would be my advice, is sort of make sure you have a life and that you maintain all of that. And that'll all support what you want to do better than you thinking that you have to be your idea of something, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think that's amazing advice. I love it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Beautifully inspirational, sir. And we're gonna,
again, if I ramble, just cut me off.
No, I actually
edit down the answers nice and succinctly.
No, I'm actually moved when you talked. I mean, it's like I'm motivated. It's like it makes me want to talk more, actually.
Nice.
Miss Divine, your final question for
Okay. Right. Any advice you would give to the viewers watching?
We just asked that
We
one.
just did that.
That was my question.
To ones watching, if it was live, I apologize. That's all I have for that.
No,
I apologize for rambling so much. Yeah.
No, this is pre-recorded.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh
no, I was gonna say, I don't know if I have anything to expand on there too much. But yeah, also just like stick it out. It takes a long time. It does take a while. Like, it takes you a good decade to learn anything really worth learning in the first place, because really you have to learn how to learn first before you really learn how to apply things. Like, the world's generally a whole bunch of stuff that you need to know, but then there's the entire application step, which is a whole other basis of learning. So you kind of have to, do the one and then the other. And if you are an overnight success, then don't screw it up, man, because those are rare. Yeah.
I'm gonna ask my final question before we get to the final comments, though, and that is, what is next for Shane Sweet? Now, of course, Shane, this is the part of the show. It's an open forum. You can talk about anything you want. It's an open forum. I am passing the proverbial microphone on to you. You can talk about anything you like. The floor is yours, Shane.
Oh, well, dude, I still do some voiceover stuff and that kind of work. And I sort of, I had to grow up a little bit. It's like software development for some of the man a little bit, if you will, government stuff like that. And one of the cooler things I've been able to be a part of lately was the analog astronaut program for missions to Mars and stuff like that. So I've been involved with that pretty heavily, and that takes up some time and a lot of mental space and stuff like that. So that's kind of that's where my like heart and mind and everything have sort of been impassioned and focused towards. So yeah, that's what's going on in the day to day.
So cool stuff, man. Especially with ADR. Do you prefer doing ADR work more than acting, or vice versa?
It's all kind of acting, but yeah, ADR stuff. You get to drop it off at the end of the day. You don't have to carry stuff around with you as much. It's a great line of work, and the people are super cool. Generally, acting in LA gets this rap for being super competitive, and you can't trust people, and people and honestly, it's like they took every cool actor in the city and put them in this little community of people who are really, really talented and really, really good in, like, as far as improvisational skills. Like, we're talking got to be some of the best in the world, honestly, to be able to work with them on a fairly frequent basis. I can't say enough about them. Like, literally good people from anywhere you look, you'd be hard pressed to find somebody who you weren't stoked to see work that day. Which is, I know how much of a blessing and a gift that is, just from talking to other people sometimes about work, or just seeing some of the other stuff that even that I've had to do. Like, I remember for when I was a I moved away from LA for a while, and I was like doing like tar roofing in the winter, and I was like, man, like this makes you miss the cool people you were hanging out with, because tar roofing in the rain is not cool. This is tough as hell. So, which is not a knock on tar, people who are doing roofing in the winter. It's just saying like that is a tough gig. So yeah, yeah, that's what I got going on there. Yeah.
I'm very happy for you, Shane. Like I said, and you'll always have my support. And I'm gonna get to my final comment, but I'm gonna start with my co-host first. Miss Divine, your final comments for the legendary Shane Sweet.
Oh, great to meet you and learn about you, Shane.
Oh. Thank you, and thanks for hanging
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Dan, your final comment?
Shane, you're a cool dude, and hopefully I get to California next year so we can hang. And now that you brought up, it's funny, we're going to have to talk about this off air, but since you brought up government and Mars, and now I just got questions about, again, we don't want the Men in Black coming after any of us, so I'd have to ask about like alien stuff with you privately, but just you're a cool dude. I want to hang with you, and just again, great to finally meet you, because again, P and I were talking Married with Children, like that was one of the first things we talked about, like when we first met. That's one of the things we clicked on and stuff about. So we go way back. I've seen a lot of your work, so just again, great to finally meet you, and hopefully hang with you next year in California.
Crazy, man. Yeah, good looking out, and great chatting, and definitely if you can come out, because I'm in the back of my mind, I'm already planning a little like local sort of like tour of LA. So that's got to happen, man. Come hang.
That'd be so cool.
For sure.
My final comment for you, Shane, is going to be an ode and a praise at the same time. And my other co-host that is usually on here, he's not on here. And when I jokingly tell Dan that, you know what, he says that, I kind of sound like a broken record when I say this, but I think of it more as a catchphrase when I say this. And that is, Shane, you have this incredible gift, though, like that you can take a 35-year-old fan like this dude right here and bring him way down here and make him feel like that 5-year-old watching Married with Children and just watching Seven Bundy, you just kicking ass, because I was born in '90, so when you like watching Married with Children while like watching you at 7, I was a 5-year-old at the time, and I just loved your work, and as a former blonde, I could say I loved the hair, man. I loved it.
Yeah, man. It's the blonde hair has gone out of style seemingly. You don't see it as much, but yeah, man. I mean, it's awesome. Again, thanks for having me on the pod, dude. It's awesome, fun getting to hang, and luckily we can both sort of grow facial hair now.
Yes, kind of. I'm actually No Shave November's coming up.
Oh, nice.
So I will not. My fiance might be pissed at hearing this, but I'm sorry, honey, but it's No Shave November.
Well, is your wedding in November or no?
No, July.
Yeah, you're in the clear, man. You can deal with 31 days or 30 days of scruff. Come on now.
I had a beard for a while. I might grow it back, but I don't know.
Winter's coming. It's gotta protect the face.
We'll be the Beard Brothers.
Exactly.
But I'm also I'm gonna, as soon as we're done with this interview, I'm gonna start editing it so I can send it to you right away. I'm gonna send you a copy of this interview so we're done, and I'd love to have you on in the future. And there is one last thing that we're gonna do before we end this interview, and I feel like you deserve it, Shane, and that is thank you, Shane Sweet. Thank you, Shane Sweet. Thank you, Shane Sweet.
Thanks, y'all.
You're welcome.
You have an awesome night, sir, and I will see everyone in the future. Have a great night, everybody.
You too, Pete. Bye.
Good hanging, y'all.